Hi, everybody, and welcome to a creative edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Glad to be talking on this episode with comics creator, author Adam Wallenta. Adam, thank you for jumping on and joining.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having me, and thank you to everybody listening and watching.
My pleasure, and uh, absolutely, I'm sure for folks that are checking it out as well. I'm digging the background for those that are checking out the visual aspect of the episode. If you're listening to it on audio, I can describe it, but we actually have a question or two that dives into the background as well. So, um, what was your path to this world of art and create? What was that like for you?
It's a long journey. I started as an artist as a child, just loving to draw and loving to learn how to draw. And I was also very interested in writing at a very early age. So I would write my own stories and illustrate them. Like anybody who's interested in anything, you work hard at it and you figure out how to do it and how to be a part of it. And so I drew all throughout my elementary, middle school, high school years. Eventually went to college for art. That's where the main part of the journey begins, where I actually got an internship at Marvel Comics, and that's where I started to learn how to become a professional at what I love to do. So I learned the ins and outs of making comics through the internship program, and I quickly was very fortunate to become a professional almost right away when I was interning, because somebody missed their deadline and they needed someone to color an entire comic book over a weekend.
Mm-hmm,
And so I said, I can do it. I had never done it before, but I figured, got to step up and, trial by fire. So I did. And luckily, my editor at the time was very gracious and believed in me and gave me the opportunity. And I went home that night. It was a Friday night. I had to color 32 pages of comics in 2 days to have it for Monday morning. So I did it, got it done, and that began my professional journey as a paid professional in the world of art. From there, I started my own companies. I published my own books. I worked for many other companies as an illustrator, as an editor, and over the years, I published numerous things, everything from humor books to licensed material. I worked on the official Public Enemy comic book series with Chuck D. For
mm-hmm,
anyone that doesn't know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. I worked on educational comics for the National Science Foundation. And then I took some time off as a dad to take care of my kids at home, which I was very fortunate to do. I could freelance from home. I worked for different companies, um, illustrating, but at my own pace, because I wanted to spend as much time with my kids while they were young as possible. And while I was doing that, I was actually home, one day with my son, who's my oldest now. We only had one at the time. He was 5. And we started talking about some ideas for this name that I had, Punk Taco. And my son thought it
mm-hmm,
was hilarious.
mm-hmm.
And he started coming up with ideas for the characters and started drawing pictures for Punk Taco, and developing the different characters that would be in the book. And I had actually been in the middle of another graphic novel project that I was going to self-publish. I had 200 pages penciled. Everything was written and penciled. And I put that on the shelf because I knew that, kids grow up really quick.
Yeah.
I wanted to capture that moment in time when my son was young and silly and really wanted to do this project with me. So I put the other one to the side and dived full time into Punk Taco. And we did the first book together, and we did a Kickstarter for it, and the first volume sold out, which was great. We submitted it to a bunch of competitions, and we actually ended up winning the first award we won was the Kids Comics Award,
Mm-hmm.
which is giving at the Ann Arbor Comics Arts Festival. That's a great show for creators that do all ages books. And we won like best sci-fi fantasy comic for kids, and that was a huge deal for us. It actually happened on Father's Day weekend, on Father's Day. To win an award with my son was like, was practically in tears, because
Yeah.
anyone that's a parent know, like, it's just a special thing to share with your child. Um, and I don't take that for granted at all. And then we were nominated for a Ringo Award for Best Kids Comic or Graphic Novel, and we won that, which was completely shocking and amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, I got to go to the award show with my son and accept the award with him as well. So that was a really special moment. And we ended up reprinting the second book after that, and we started working on volume two, which just came out, this past year. And now we're working on volume three together. So, and I say all that like I sometimes I feel like when I talk about like the awards, we don't do it for accolades or anything like that. I do it because I love making comics and books.
Yeah.
One, and
Yeah.
then to share it with my son makes it extra special for me. But I say that because I've had this long journey of successes and failures and ups and downs, and even Punk Taco itself was rejected by numerous companies, and
Hmm.
we had all these you know people that didn't believe in us, but we believed in the project, and the people supported the book. The fans have been extremely awesome, and that keeps us going, and it's super exciting because you deal with the lows of the rejections, and then you deal with
Hmm.
these extreme highs of winning an award, because we were the only independent book in these categories, up against like books from graphics publishing, or Scholastic and First Second and all these other great companies that we love, and books that we've read and loved. So to be in that company as a small publisher, um, it's a great honor. And you know knowing what other creators go through, again, I double back, I say all this because I want to inspire people not to give up, because
Hmm.
I'm considered old in the business, right? At almost 50. And 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 I feel like there's a lot of people of my age and older that feel like, oh, the young kid, the young creators get all the shine, and then there are
Hmm.
kids who feel like, oh, I'm too young to do it. And we do a lot of visits at schools and libraries, and I always really stress that you're never too young and you're never too old. If you
Right.
have a story to tell, or even not just in comics, if with the exception of maybe becoming a professional basketball player, there may be some categories where you're too old, but for things like this, or if you're an inventor, or if you want to switch jobs, I really try to let people know that you can do it.
Yeah.
I'm living proof of that. I grew up in a situation where I remember like my father always saying, I'm too old, and they're already trying to like phase me out. And looking back, I think he was like 35 or 40 at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember this mindset has always been ingrained in a lot of people, that you get to a certain age and you have to kind of just like step to the side or give up, and or it's hopeless or whatever. And I like to try to defy those odds a little bit. So
Love that. I love that. And I love the
thanks.
story of inspiration, and love the story you were mentioning some of the awards, and um, it is great to be recognized,
It
and
is.
great
There's
to
no
have
doubt
folks
about
say,
that.
yeah. There's so many things published out there that it's hard to sift through everything. So that's
Yeah, and
a
to be
huge
picked out of
nod.
like hundreds of thousands of books. I mean, that's amazing to me. And then to, knowing how many people, agents and editors that rejected, Punk Taco,
Hmm.
and initially, and even after that, like I'm still like, all right, I don't need your approval because I've already got the approval of the fans. I get kids from 5 years old, 18, to grown-ups that like the book, and really that's all that matters. We want people to enjoy it. We do it for ourselves because it's a form of expression,
Hmm. Hmm.
first and foremost. But any artist or creative person or musician would be lying if they said, I don't care if people like what I do.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course we want people to like it. So
Right.
that means the world to us, right? It's like, because we create in a bubble, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
when McKenna, my son, and I were creating Punk Taco, we were laughing and we thought it was funny and we were enjoying it, but we don't know if anyone else will.
Right.
And we continue doing it regardless. But the fact that, once we started going to conventions and people of all ages were buying the book, you know, how cool is that?
Yeah, very, very cool.
So
Very cool.
I love it, and it's an honor to people to spend their money because it's not a cheap book because it's a limited print run and it's
Hmm.
hardcover and it's 8 by 12. We made it like we purposely made it like a bigger book for libraries and because for younger readers that like to get a little physical with the book. Sometimes we wanted it to be something that can hold up to the wear and tear.
Hmm.
So people spend their hard-earned money, and I don't take that for granted at all because as an artist, I know what it's like to struggle financially and everything. So, to have people spend their money, their hard-earned money on your book, it's like awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't say thank you enough.
Now, I was also going to ask, I had some kind of like ironic question or sort of a play on the title about what is a punk taco or what's the recipe for a punk taco, but I'll say I
Yeah.
love the fact that family time, collaboration seems to be part of that. That's
Yeah,
a great part of your
absolutely.
creating.
I was, like I said, I was working on that other graphic novel and it's fun and I love collaborating with other professionals, but it even working from home doing that, it still takes time away from kids and family
Hmm.
because you're up in your studio and they're doing something else and I wanted the idea of being able to work with my son and share ideas and bring him into my world even if he doesn't want to do it when he gets older. I don't push it. If he wants to continue making comics on his own, great. If he doesn't, great. Whatever, whatever makes him happy. But for this brief time period, I get to share ideas and go back and forth with him and create something cool that I could pass down and he can do what he wants with it when he's older. So
Yeah, yeah.
definitely family time. And I go back to the educational books that I did for the National Science Foundation. I actually co-created those with my wife. So she's a professional scientist and a professor. She at the time she was at Yale University and she got a grant from the National Science Foundation, and part of it was an outreach program um, to reach out to kids in lower income schools and different schools in our area. And so we created comic books for them. So she did
Yeah.
all the science part and wrote all that stuff, and I wrote in all the goofy comic book stuff, and we collaborated back and forth. And so yeah, working with family and friends, to me that's the best. Like being able to do that.
That
And
was
now my
the
youngest, who is just turned 8 a couple days ago, he's helping us with Punk Taco 3, and he just
nice.
a few months ago rattled out like a whole plot for Punk Taco 4 that he wants to kind of be in charge of now that this the third part of the story arc is wrapping up. So he's super excited about that and always coming up with ideas. And then the two brothers have their own creations that they're working on together. So I'm trying to encourage that. So yeah, working with family is definitely the main ingredient to Punk Taco, I would say.
Love it. I love that. And the science comics you're talking about, I've seen the one on plate tectonics.
Yep, plate tectonics, and then we did one
Hmm.
on the moon.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I love that too. I love how, comics, one of the things I love about Punk Taco is the all ages aspect of it because you have books that are edgier that I appreciate, and when I was a kid I read some of those and didn't quite understand all of the nuances, but I love the all ages aspect of Punk Taco. But then I also love the range of what you do with science, and then I've also looked at your website, so I've seen
yeah.
the Public Enemy.
Mhm.
I dressed in a Rolling Stone shirt to try to bring the cool factor. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
working at all. But yeah, like I appreciate the variety of what you do and what
Yeah.
you seem
Thank
to
you.
pull out of the medium. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, that's not everybody is not every artist or creator is going to be fortunate enough to find that one style and then go with that for their whole career. Like you get like legends like a George Perez or whoever, like their
Mm-hmm.
style developed and they did that and that was great. I mean, some of us have to kind of conform to survive. So like I've done all different types of things, for to survive, illustration wise, writing, editing, graphic design. I've done a lot of stuff in the music industry, and I guess what I would call coffee table books,
Hmm.
illustrating like chapter books and stuff like that. Um, I always imagine, always hope that I could just do that one thing, like as an
Right.
artist. Well, you get kind of torn, right? Like you want to do one thing, but then sometimes artists complain about getting pigeonholed and just doing one thing. So, I guess you just have to find what makes you happy and find that balance. Um,
True enough.
it
True
would be
enough.
it would be cool to be known for like a particular style, I think sometimes. But then other times I'm just fortunate enough to be working and to be a professional and get paid to do it. So I can't complain about that ever. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll also speak to some of the educator side of what you do,
mhm.
because I know you mentioned that you've taught professionally as well, and we
Yep.
were talking about that a little bit before I hit record. So I also appreciate when teachers, people that have spent time in the classroom, also create for and alongside young people. That's kind of a special linking of life experiences, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really loved being able to share my professional art world with the students. I taught middle school many years ago, and then I most recently taught K through 6 art.
Hmm.
And they always get excited knowing that you did something outside of teaching, which is super cool. And they think you're like the greatest artist in the world just because of that, which is very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Not necessarily true, but very cool. Uh, so, and I love being able to encourage them to do it. Like, I talked about like the struggles and the ups and downs and everything, and to be able to show them that not everything comes easy, and you don't have to be perfect at anything. And there is, one of the things I stressed this past year when I was teaching was to make mistakes. Like, kids from, you know, the full range from K through 6, they all get hung up on, making that perfect line the first time.
Hmm.
It got to the point where I just wanted to rip every eraser off of the pencils because I'm like, you spend more time erasing than you do drawing. Like, let's just draw and have fun, make those mistakes, learn from them. Uh, because at like I said, I'm 49, almost 50. It's like I still make mistakes all the time. As an artist, you're always learning. You have to practice your skills, and
Yeah,
people always think that you're born with some talent. And I would always tell my students, as well as adults that would listen, I don't think you're born with a skill. I think you're born with an interest, right? And with
I
that
like that.
interest, if you have the interest, you're going to work at it and you're going to force yourself to learn. If you
Hmm.
don't have the interest, then you're not going to, and that's fine. Like, everybody has different interests, whether it's sports or science or math or art. Um, and once you find that thing that you're interested in, you're going to read about it, you're going to research it, you're going to see who else does it, you're going to make friends who do the same thing. Um, or ideally, that's what you should be doing, and you're going to practice.
Yeah,
So, my job as an art teacher was this, for the people who had the interest, encourage them, and for the people who didn't have interest, show them that they can still appreciate it even if they don't have any interest in it.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm thinking something like with great interest must come great patience or
Yeah,
something like that.
absolutely. That's
Persistence.
great. Yeah, definitely persistence and perseverance, because you could have interest and not have that, I guess, what you want to call skill. Like there is some
Hmm.
fine motor skills and ways of seeing things that, certain people have that help them develop
Yeah,
their skills and interest, and some of us don't. I mean, I knew guys that going into college were amazing painters the second they were there, and they were doing the exact same thing but still equally amazing when they ended. And then I always felt that I was behind, so I definitely saw a progression in college. I started out, compared to other people, I was like, oh, like I thought I was a good artist until I saw these other people. But by the end of my college experience, I felt like I was doing pretty good. I got better. And I like to think I got better even over the years. And even with each new book, whether from Public Enemy to Punk Taco, like I've made a better book. So and I hope each project. I hope I always get better with each project, no matter how old I get. That's my goal
Yeah.
ultimately as a
Yeah.
creator, is to improve. Uh, and then look back, and sometimes you cringe at things that you've done.
No
But you
matter
say,
what you
okay,
do.
that
Yeah.
that was an experience, that was a snapshot in time, and hopefully I learned from it. And going back to teaching, I tried to tell my students, learn from the mistakes. Like, that's the making the mistakes is the best learning process, right? Like,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
look at it and you learn from it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it sounds like there's a future trajectory of punk tacos on the way. Sounds like that's coming, and I always like to talk about future paths in creating, current works in progress, and then I also want to mention one more time for listeners out there that you do have a website
I
that's
think
really nice and accessible, and then of
that's
course any events or social media spaces or anything like that that you want to share about. I know social media is currently in a multiverse of people splitting off into different things, but any spaces where it would be particularly good
social
to
media
follow
is
along.
is just crazy in general, right? Like,
It is, it is. I curate. I very specifically look for like certain things I want to spend my time on with social media, and comics are one of those. So yeah.
yeah, it's hard. I've tried to just focus on promoting what I'm doing, but part of that is you have to engage with people too. Like, there's like you have to,
Right.
otherwise you just become like a commercial, and that doesn't help either. So there's like this fine balance, and I've been very fortunate with social media and the internet. I've made like real life friends, like from talking to people online. So I've been very lucky.
Hmm, hmm.
In that regard, and I've made fans and people that became friends, like I said. And so yeah, so I'm easy to find. Adam Wallenta, whatever the new current thing is, it's usually at Adam Wallenta, if possible. Punk Taco also has one. It's usually the real Punk Taco, because I think early on there was a restaurant. I think they may have gotten the title, or somebody took it. I don't know how it happened, but
Uh,
so yeah, the Adam Wallenta, the real Punk Taco, AdamWallenta.com, and it's punktaco.com. Right now we're working on Punk Taco 3, where I'm inking and coloring. I'm inking it, and I have a colorist coloring it at the same time. It's Each book is getting bigger and bigger, because we're taking ideas that didn't fit into the first volume and the second volume, and like, oh, people want more. Okay, well, we have these ideas. So um, the current page count of book 2 is like 152 pages, I think, which is even bigger than the second one, which was bigger than the first. So I'm excited about that. It's a lot of fun. We're just being really wacky, and it's a graphic novel for all ages, but it's still created by a kid and his father, so it's going to be silly. Um, and but fun, hopefully. So we're working on that, and as I said, my youngest son has ideas for book 4, so we'll just see what happens after book 3 and where that goes. um, and I have that other graphic novel that I mentioned, which was
hmm,
200
hmm.
pages. I'm actually hired a colorist, and he's helping color that
Nice.
slowly. So that's just something that's coming. I also took a job. I don't know when are you going to air this? I don't know if I can say where I'm working now.
I can put the video. I can share it whenever you want. You name the date, and I can
Yeah, no,
set
it's
it to
cool.
drop then.
I won't say the name of the company, but I actually just took a full-time job at a comic book publisher as an editor. So
Nice, nice,
I
awesome.
am. They're not. They're going to officially announce it after San Diego Comic Con, but you can air this whenever,
Cool.
and people will know by then, anyways. But anyways, I took this job because despite loving teaching, it was just a great opportunity to really be more involved in the industry, making comics and working with other creators. So I wanted to be able to do my part to help give other creators a platform, and
Awesome.
kind of it's a good company. It's a great company. I'm honored to be working there, and I'm excited to share it in more in detail when I'm allowed to. Even though I'm officially on the books, they want to save an announcement time, which is cool.
Cool,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, so I'm getting to work on some high profile projects, and I'm going to be able to curate new projects. So any of my creator friends that may see this, feel free to touch base with me.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to be working on some STEAM books and all ages and young reader stuff. So I'm excited about that. Um,
Nice.
and in the meantime, Punk Taco, I'm promoting that. I will be at Terrificon in Connecticut. I will be at Baltimore Comic Con, which is in September,
Hmm. Hmm.
and a couple other smaller conventions. I haven't been able to do a lot this year because my family moved from California back to Connecticut, so it was a little bit of an adjustment and with teaching and everything else. So getting
Absolutely.
back into some conventions will be nice, and I'm looking forward to seeing people out there. Come by, say hello, check out the book. You can also get Punk Taco on Amazon. I try to encourage independent stores and comic book stores, but we don't have big distribution because we are a small publisher, or I'm a small publisher
Hmm.
for Punk Taco at least. So feel free to buy on Amazon if you like. That's okay. Um, I still get the money.
Good, 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 good. That is helpful, and yeah,
Yeah.
access is helpful. And since I'm putting this out on the web, I'll also say to anybody out there that happens to be like a movie executive or Hasbro or whatever. I'm just imagining these people like Howard Hughes out there in like dark rooms, like storing up bags of chips in boxes. But if you're out
Right.
there and you're looking for a great property to explore as far as an animated movie, series, action figure, I think that Punk Taco deserves some play across media and across platforms. So just
I
gonna throw that
appreciate
out
that.
there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, Netflix, come call us or Prime or whoever. All these
yeah.
great, a lot of these companies are creating original content. It's kind of a golden age for animation, I feel like. I've seen
Hmm.
so many amazing projects that really get me excited and makes me think about the possibilities. I love publishing and I love books, so that's always my first true love
Yeah,
uh, as a book junkie. So I don't think anything beats that
agreed.
having a physical book in your hand. As much as I like the idea of digital and saving trees and less space and all that, I can't I can't give up the book market. Like the holding a book and wanting to print books is just I guess it's just my age. I don't know, but
Yeah,
uh, I
I'm
love
there
books.
with you. I'm there with you.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
having a series or a TV show or a movie or something, that would be awesome. Toys,
Yeah.
Legos.
May it be so. May it be so. And in the
Right.
words
Make
of
it happen.
Picard, make it so. Was that was that Picard or Kirk? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, yeah, absolutely glad to share about your work. Excited to hear about your work as an editor, shining a light on other creators as well.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the time.
No, thank you for having me. I can't say that enough. And to everybody that listened to me babble, I appreciate you. I know I ramble on sometimes, but
Well worth the listen. And
thank you.
yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.